and Facebook Live. What is up? We are live here with not only current and two-time Monster Factory Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champion Christian Rocco. He is the first ever Wrestling All Day Podcast Champion. Christian, thank you so much for coming on.
What do you got to get your facts straight, man. Three time.
Terribly sorry about that.
What a start. No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me. Just a little heads up to everybody. I'm going to look a little swollen. I just got wisdom teeth surgery, but I had to be on here. This is Can't Miss Podcast. You would have seen me with like the Patrick Bateman get up with all the like stuff on my face and the swelling and trying to get my face down. But I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Alrighty, again, apologies on that. I was reading Cage Match, and it has you listed as a two-time champion for some reason. I went to give people a Cage Match.
Get it together.
I went to get on their case about that one. We're going to jump right into it. You are a three-time Monster Factory Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champion. What's that been like?
Oh, it's been fantastic, man. I really love the Monster Factory. There's not too many places I call home, but that place is definitely my home as far as wrestling goes. I train there pretty often, almost every day. And man, it's just been a whirlwind of an experience. Winning it with World Renowned and now doing it with Oliver. If you guys watch my sketches with him, the most fun I've ever had in wrestling. He is my missing puzzle piece to finding myself and finding my personality and my humor. So I want to give him a shout out. And also my roommate, who's not here right now, Brian Murphy. They have been the most wonderful duo I've ever gotten to work with.
Well, big shouts out to them. Again, it's great having you here. And I do want to ask you, for those who don't know, for people who are watching this, because apparently we got people in like Indonesia watching this and stuff. I didn't know we had a reach like that.
Oh, yeah.
What's it like? What is it like training at the Monster Factory? What is a daily? My light went out. What is a daily routine in training at the Monster Factory?
You can't say their name three times; they'll come for you, like they're doing right now. No, I mean training at the Monster Factory is a wonderful experience. It's tough. It's grueling. If you guys saw the Apple TV show, so I can give a quick plug to them. Everything you see in that's the way it is, man. Dan's a hard ass, but he loves you to death. He wants you to succeed, and he pushes you beyond your brink. And I think that's the best way to pull the best out of people, right? So,
oh yeah,
you know, it's become my second home. It really has. I'm there more often than I am in my actual apartment or at my house with my parents. I spend a majority of my time there, so. It's become such a huge part of my life that the training almost isn't really training anymore. It's just like going to your house.
that is very fair. Now, what's your routine like? You go in there and do you just like do your basic drills, or do you go in there and you do a little bit of everything?
It depends on the day, but for the most part, yeah, we come in, we set up. You know, it's very grassroots in that way that, you know, you want to know every fundamental, like foundational part of wrestling. So, you know, we're putting the ring together, then we stretch, we warm up, you know, we'll jog, run, do our rolls. Dan will stream them sometimes. So if you guys are ever curious, you can see those. Then we get right into our drills. And once 10:30 hits around, there's open ring, which I take advantage of all the time. And that's when you get to really practice and learn more stuff that you wouldn't be taught and kind of figure out more stuff that's catered to you. But yeah, I mean, it's a very regimented routine, but stuff will change here and there. You know, you never know who will pop by. QT Marshall, Blue Meanie, oh God, Gabe Sapolsky, just to name a few that have popped by in the last year. So it's always something exciting going on there.
So you, with the Monster Factory, you've wrestled at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. For those who don't know, that is the original ECW arena right there on Swanson and Rittner Street. One of the most iconic arenas, next probably to Madison Square Garden. Every hardcore ECW fan back in the day has had dreams of being in the ECW arena, and you got to wrestle in there. What was that like?
It was another day at the office. No, I'm kidding. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Truly a dream come true. When I was a kid, I was the biggest wrestling fan on earth. And of course, I lived right here, right close to Philly. So going to the 2300 probably 2 or 3 times a month and going to every single show I could, whether it was House of Hardcore, the CZW shows, or whatever would run that weekend. I was there. So being on the other side of it was a phenomenal experience. I still remember that day driving up there. It was a Thursday, and being all suited up, trying to look nice, and just feeling the waterworks come in. It felt like a big moment in my life. And then just being out in front of the crowd, my God, it's one of those experiences that you just have that photographic memory. No matter what, you can't forget it. I can remember the sights, the smells, just the feel, the energy just pumping through you. It was like nothing else. I highly recommend it to anybody who gets the chance to live without dream.
I've been to the 2300 as a spectator, and I can agree that it's a fantastic arena. Hot as hell in that arena, but it is a fantastic venue. And I can agree with the sights and the smells being unique. I was there for Icons once, and I probably about died because it was so hot. So I can only imagine what it was like being in the ring when it's 110 degrees in there. All those people are in there, and the lights are on you. And you were in there with South Philly's Finest, correct?
You could probably imagine how those old timers feel too. They're probably melting.
Yeah, for real. You were in the ring with that. You were in there for with South Philly's Finest, correct? As the opponents, right?
Yes, South Philly's Finest. We were the heels, which was a different change of pace for me. That was during a dark time in my career. No, it was awesome. Working with them, they're South Philly's Finest. Them being in front of a Philadelphia crowd, you're bound to get heat, and you're bound to feel people getting really pissed off at you. And that's the experience I honestly wanted to have. Growing up and being an ECW fan, just feeling that like vitriolic, just angry, vicious crowd. That was something that was really awesome to feel in that moment.
Now, living in the area that you lived in, which is like literally a hotbed for professional wrestling with ECW, Allentown's not too far away, which is also a hotbed for wrestling. What really inspired you to become a wrestler? Who inspired you to become a wrestler?
Sure. That's a really simple answer. Adam Copeland, Edge, was the reason why I got into wrestling as a career. I still remember watching my first ever wrestling match. This didn't have Edge in it, but just being captured by just everything that I loved. It was real life superheroes that came to life. There's this rock star element to it with the big entrances and the loud sounds and the flashiness. And then there's these really awesome, intricate stories. So I'm a huge film buff, so that catered to me. But man, Edge just encompassed all of that. And then I remember specifically the moment when I said, I want to become a professional wrestler was after, if you remember it, the You Think You Know Me, the Story of Edge documentary. That was when they used to do the 3-disc sets.
Yep.
That would have
I have it over there.
I have it right behind me. I'm never going to go anywhere without it. But that really meant a lot to me. And his story really spoke to me. I was a huge fan of him already, but his story about him being close to his mom and just wanting to do it and just staying on that path and being steadfast and going for it. And like I related to him on so many levels of his creativity, this idea that he loves rock music and he's this almost real life rocker come to the big screen, right? Everything about him just spoke to me and it always inspired me. And now we see him, maybe he's done, hopefully not, because I'm hoping that there will be that one time where I get to share a ring with him.
That answers my next question. I was literally just getting ready to ask if there's anybody who you can past or present share the ring with, who would it be? There you go.
That's a difficult one. I got a lot on that list, but definitely Edge is at the top of that list.
All right, give me your top 5 then.
I don't know if I have a ranking here, but for sure, I absolutely want to say Scott Steiner. That one's probably going to throw people off. I love Scotty. I think he's awesome. I can only imagine how fun he would be to work with, especially like Scotty in his prime. He'd probably murder me, but my God, is he awesome to watch. This is Living or Dead. Again, another person who would probably kill me. Bruiser Brody. I'm a huge fan of Bruiser Brody. Would have loved to have shared the ring with him. Macho Man's another big one. What's that make it? 4? Edge, Brody, and Macho Man.
Yeah.
I guess, I'm going to throw in another wild card there. I'm going to throw in Chris Jericho, only because he's just such a master of his craft, and
Oh
again,
yeah.
such a personality, and just really draws people into the crowd. I just feel like that's somebody I would have absolutely wanted to work with.
Just this morning before I went to work, I was watching his AEW Championship celebration, a little bit of the bubbly celebration. I
He's
don't know what possessed
still,
me to watch it, but oh, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. He was still killing it too. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he's wrestling so much smarter now. It's this polished Jericho that doesn't have to do as much, even though he's still killing himself and throwing himself off of cages and getting busted open. He doesn't have to. He has the crowd in the palm of his hand. I mean, before he even comes out to the ring, people are singing his song. So it's
Yeah.
incredible.
So back to what you said about inspiring you to be a wrestler. Edge, one of Edge's biggest matches that I remember from my childhood was against Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22. And I think that's probably my all-time favorite match because Edge is easily in my top 5, but Mick Foley will always be my number 1. Mick Foley is the reason I have back problem at 26. But but that match was absolutely incredible from start to finish. I watch it at least probably once or twice a month. One of my all-time favorite matches. Do you have a specific favorite match of Edge or anything that any matches that stick out the most to you?
That's a tough one, man. That's a really tough one. I have a lot of favorites of his. That one's definitely up there. There's TLC matches that he had in the beginning. The one at WrestleMania 2000 is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that people might not know. He had a heel versus heel match with Orton back in 2005 on Raw. It's just such a cool match because you never see that dynamic, and they make it work. So that one's up there. Yeah, that's a difficult one, man. I just love so many of his matches. God, the triple threat that he had with Hardy. Oh God, that's a tough one. The steel cage ladder match that he had with Matt, they're probably way up there. So I'll probably go with that one because those ones are pretty intense and the story is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The storyline of Matt Hardy and Edge when I was a kid just part of my head. Yeah. But yeah, Edge always put on classic matches, and my TV went off again. Come on, what are you doing, Light? What are you doing? There? I have no idea. I think it's on a timer, and it just keeps going on. I don't know how to set it. I just set it up today. I have no idea how to set it.
I'm sending you messages. I don't hear the sound though.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's the Beastmasters. They said they wanted my title. Maybe they're infiltrating my my light settings. So that might be a problem for you in the future, Mr. Wrestling All Day Podcast Champion. The Beastmasters said they want that, so just be careful.
Ronnie Moses about that.
Oh yeah. He confiscated it. But and listen, man, I seen it. I don't think his victory was fair, but you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is, by hook or by crook, and I definitely think it was by crook. You know, I think he might have had that locked in a little too tight.
Yeah,
but
I'm telling you. Look, my foot was underneath the rope. Ref was looking at it the wrong way. I never said I submit. I never said that. I might have been tapping just to get that blood flow going.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to breathe in there. This is tapping out right on the mat. Here, I'm just checking. He did that all over to me the whole match. He was trying to confiscate whatever, a fork. Like I would keep a fork in my pocket.
Who would do such a thing?
It was planted on me.
Yeah, I believe you. I'm with you on this one, man. I'm gonna have Ben on in a couple of weeks, so I'm gonna have to yell at him for that.
You better yell at him. I like him for the part, but he screwed me over on that.
I'll make sure I give him an earful for that one. So my question to you, you come out to a absolute banger of a theme song. I've been singing it all week. Like literally I've been at work washing the dishes and I'm like, call me. And my boss is like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, it's been in my head. So my question to you is, was it difficult to pick a theme song that would fit the Wild Child, or how did you come up with that song?
For that one, it was a no-brainer. I'm a huge Blondie fan. They're one of my favorite bands. I love Debbie Harry. I've seen her 3 times now, and I just thought that song fit me. When I was first coming up with stuff, I had a million songs written down. I'm like, all right, let's see how these work. None of them were hitting. that one did. So when it came time to come out to a theme song, it just was a no-brainer, man. I think that song fits me and speaks to me. I like to portray this kind of like punk rock attitude, and I think nobody portrays that better and cooler than Debbie Harry.
Oh yeah. So the nickname the Wild Child, where did that come from? Was that given to you, or is that something that you over the years have like named yourself?
So that's a pretty recent addition to the Christian Rocco moniker. I was trying to think of things that would work for me, and it just finally came to me. I'm a big music guy. You heard me just talk about Debbie Harry. There's a song by Suzi Quatro, and I remember the Struts had just come out with a new album, and they have this song that goes, "I'm a wild child," and it just really stuck with me. I'm like, okay. And I'm a huge fan of Brian Pillman, that Flying Brian thing.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the early 90s. He's another huge influence on me, especially with the Wild Child character. But I just kind of merged those two together because I remember he had the Bangles trunks because he used to play for the Bangles.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, let's lean more into that and go a little crazy, a little more rock starry. So that's how the Wild Child came. It's an amalgamation of a bunch of songs and then a bunch of wrestlers from the early 90s that I absolutely adore.
Well, I absolutely love it. I really do. Like I said, when you were coming out, and now I've never Slamburger was the first time I got to see you in person. I heard the song and I was like, "Is this Christian?" I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, if you listen to the video right before you come out, I'm like, look at my mom. I'm like, I think this is him. But yeah, that's just such a banger of a song. It's just been burned in my head all week. I've been singing it. I'll wake up at like 2:00 in the morning. I'll use the bathroom, and it's in my head, and I'm like, oh my god! Like,
there's such good songs. It's so funny that you even say that because I just got another theme song. So I'm also working heel at another place, and I needed something that was copyright free. I have a copyright free version of the Blondie song as well. My friend had he had like another beat to it and took out the lyrics, and it doesn't flag anything, but I still use that at the factory along with this other song in my tag team. But when I'm over at Sanctuary right now, I have this new song that John Alba gifted me. If anybody knows John Alba, I'm going to plug him. I hate him. Terrible guy. Screwed me over. He's been a bane of my existence, but he has a great podcast with Matt Hardy. He goes, I heard this song that fits you. It's called Bogus Operandi. If you guys know the Hives, you know that song that goes, too late, too soon, on it, tick, tick, boom. They have another song, and I guess it doesn't flag anything, and he edited it and gave it. It fits the heel really well. I think Call Me such a babyface, energetic song. So now I have these two. There's two personalities and two sides to Christian Rocco. He's like Harvey Dent.
All right, which personality is your favorite?
It's a lot easier getting people to get angry at you, right? But I really like playing the good guy. I never thought I did because I grew up loving all the bad guys. But I don't know. I guess there's something that people like about me. I think there's also something that people hate about me. I got a pretty punchable face, especially now with this big lump right here.
So to go back to Slamburger, when you had that fork planted on you, there may be a case to where we may have seen that before with another wrestler, Abdul the Butcher. Was that possibly once you found out that was planted on you and you had it in your hand? Were you channeling your inner Abdul the Butcher on a prone Ronnie Moses?
Hey man, when the going gets tough, you have to get going, right? And Abdullah definitely comes to mind when you get a fork, right?
Oh yeah.
I mentioned earlier that I'm a huge Bruiser Brody fan. Nobody had some more hardcore wars with Brody than Abdullah. So of course, I would have given Ronnie Moses those little slots in his head that he could fit quarters in.
So I remember watching another podcast recently, and you had a WWE tryout. You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, sure. It was a seminar that we had at the Monster Factory. It was open to a lot of people, but I was recommended to do it by my coach, along with a few other people there, and it was a wonderful experience. I was scared to death. I was deathly afraid to do it, but That's the end goal, right? That's the end game. That's where I want to end up. That's where I want to retire. That's where I want to make my money. That's where I want to accomplish all my goals. So you had to do it. And my God, was it stressful? I had a lot of butterflies in my stomach, but I got through it. I had to try out with a partner of mine that I've wrestled before, who actually replaced me in World Renowned, Chris Desmond. Very talented guy. Piece of crap, though. Hate him. Awful, awful human being. Honestly, don't shout him out. Don't give him names. But I wrestled him. We had a really, really good chemistry in there and a really good match. And then got pulled aside by Gabe Sapolsky, who gave us our critiques and really laid out what he's looking for in professional wrestlers. And if anybody wants to know, he wants more aggression. He wants people to have those like animalistic instincts. The thing he told me, though, was to kind of create that shadow, that silhouette. So when you walk in a room, somebody sees you. And that's what I'm doing right now with this Wild Child thing. So I'm getting new gear. I'm trying to improve upon that. And everything he said was 100% dead accurate. And I definitely feel a difference now when I wrestle. And I'm definitely feeling more professional. Hopefully that leads me closer down the yellow brick road.
Of course, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I truly appreciate him coming out. I truly appreciate the Monster Factory for hosting that event. And I really appreciate my coach for giving me the heads up and telling me that I was ready.
Well, if it's any consolation, I mean, coming from your coach doesn't get any better than that. Coming from me, I personally think you're beyond ready.
Thanks.
I've seen you now in person. I've seen you at the 2300 on YouTube. I've seen most of your matches on YouTube. And if there's anybody who's ready to, like you said, walk that yellow brick road, this man right there, Christian Rocco, ladies and gentlemen.
Truly, truly appreciate that. This has been one of my favorite interviews, by the way. I have to put you time. You're awesome, man. You really did your research. I'll give you that.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, I've been trying to do as much as I could the last couple of days. I got to run 11 to 7 like a madman. But I was like, I have Christian coming on. I got to dig deep because I know a little bit about him, but I need to know more about him. I need to know more about. I want to pick his brain, and hopefully, I'm doing all right.
Don't dig too deep. That's where it gets scary. You'll see skeletons in my closet.
Oh boy.
You'll see John Alba in my closet.
So for those who don't know, the Monster Factory has done work and trained some of the biggest and some of the best names, current senior Money in the Bank. He was just on Monday Night Raw, Damian Priest. Matt Riddle is trained there. Sheamus is trained there. A whole host of names have trained there. And those names right there, I just listed off. Tag Team Champions, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, World Champions, all trained at the Monster Factory. So if you guys have never seen the Monster Factory, make sure you go check it out. If you have Apple TV, make sure you check out the Monster Factory Apple TV show. You guys will not be disappointed.
I promise you guys you won't. The lineage is amazing. That's one of the reasons why I got there. As a kid, I was known as the wrestling historian. I used to go on podcasts all the time and list off all this trivia. It's nothing like being there. And being in that building so cool. They have the wall full of all the past talents. If you guys know anybody from the 80s, from the 90s and 2000s and on, they have done it. They are the most successful school. They have the most successful track record. They are a wonderful school, and they are an awesome show on Apple TV. If you haven't seen it yet, thank you for the plug. You guys have to see it. One of the best wrestling documentaries I've ever seen, and it's not because I was a part of it or I was in it. It just gives such a different side to wrestling. And I think this goes back to what the Monster Factory is. It's a welcoming place that includes everybody, that has real people with real stories. And it's just so uplifting. And we want to see everybody succeed. So yes, the Monster Factory is an amazing place.
And to stick on the topic of the Monster Factory, is there anybody there who you haven't faced yet that you would like to step into the ring with? Or somebody that you faced that you haven't been in the ring with in a while and would like to lock up again?
I faced a pretty sizable amount of people, but not one-on-one. And that's what I kind of want to change. So as far as like people I would love to work with, Goldie, I mean, pun intended, he is the gold standard right now in wrestling. I think he has the brightest future out of anybody there. He's a wonderful guy too, and just so incredibly talented, effortlessly talented. Brian Morris and World Renowned, my former tag partner, who also stabbed me in the back. I just want to cave his head in. Um, him, Getty Cahoon is now coming back, and I would love to work with him. I never got that opportunity, so he's on that list. Just there's so many talented people on there. Somebody I never not love passing on wrestling is Chris Desmond. Again, I shouldn't say his name. I hate him. If I say it too many times, like I said, he'll probably show up out of here. But you know, we always have great chemistry in the ring, and there's nobody better to punch in the face.
Apologies if you just heard that very loud car go by, because it sounded like a reverb back to the headset. I hope it didn't. But oh, maybe it might be listening. But yeah, there's so many tremendous talents at the Monster Factory, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not seen the Monster Factory, you are missing out. Another place that you've competed, AXW.
Yes.
You want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I mean, they're a wonderful company, too. I absolutely love them. How can it be bad when you've got people like Tim Hughes and Bob Evans from Ring of Honor and Kevin Kelly at the helm, right? I mean, if you guys watch every Saturday, Kevin Kelly's on Collision now. You might not see him at the shows anymore, but he's definitely a big part of it. It's just at this wonderful, historic place in Hamburg. It's got so much wrestling history. And I'm getting to work in the same building that a lot of my idols worked in. That's incredible. That's mind-blowing to think about. But not only that, I mean, you got incredible talent like the Monster Factory. It's just such a variety. That's the fun of wrestling, is being able to go to different places and just see how different people operate. That's what my big goal this year was to kind of, stretch out and go beyond my horizon of just Monster Factory while still staying there, obviously. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, AXW is a premier place. I mean, those guys are professionals. There's a show coming this weekend. I don't know when this airs or when this will drop, but if you guys are interested, Legends of Hamburg. I unfortunately will not be there. I'm still recovering from my surgery on my face. Nothing wrestling related. I probably should say that, but it's just my wisdom teeth. But they will have an amazing group of talent. They're going to have the Legends of Hamburg event. And then you can watch a bunch of wrestlers like Matt Quay. Again, golden era there. Just the future of wrestling.
Oh, yeah. 100% agree. A lot of the Monster Factory guys I know are going to be there and have been there. The last show they did, they had a group from Canada come down, a promotion from Canada come down. And a couple of the Monster Factory guys, LSG and MSG in there. With them, and that was pretty cool to see as well. So when you do recover, what is going to be next for Christian Rocco?
What is next for Christian Rocco? Well, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and probably make myself some oatmeal, probably go to the gym, maybe watch a little TV. But after that, man, I'm hoping to just get out there. My big thing this year was to travel, and I have. I've been going all over the place. Currently wrestling at 3 or 4 different four promotions now, with Monster Factory, AXW, 1CW, and now Sanctuary. Just to keep building on that. I think everything comes in steps and increments, and if you just keep adding, eventually you'll have a complete set, and hopefully that'll sharpen my tools enough to get me where I want to be, which is WWE.
Very fair enough. Now, for those people, like I said, people across the world who don't know what Sanctuary is, can you explain the vibe of the Sanctuary? Because I've seen it, and it's nothing like any other promotion I've seen before on the independent scene.
It is unbelievable. If anybody goes on YouTube, you guys can look up the pictures. So when I showed up there, I wasn't aware that they don't have ropes, which is what they're doing right now. I don't know if they're coming back, but it gives a very fight pit feel, raw underground feel. If you guys watch Bloodsport too,
great movie.
Bad, man. But the beauty of the place. It's an old abandoned church that has been converted to a wrestling building. The production in there is superb. It looks like a movie. It is incredible. Again, really amazing people to work with. I loved it. I did not know what to expect, and I had very high expectations from all these pictures I saw. Exceeded them. beyond my wildest belief. And it's right around like Jim Thorpe, which again, another beautiful place. I've never been there. Crossing through that, it was just beautiful. It was like going into the gates of heaven and then getting to the church, right? So if anybody is around the area or wants to make the drive up, please go to Sanctuary. It is an experience for sure.
So now you talk about getting to travel, and one of the things I'm assuming that's great about the travel, definitely not the gas, but I'm assuming that the great thing about the travel is all the cool sights and things you get to see. On your route to any promotion, what's your favorite place to just stop and just take in when you're on the road?
Any rest stop with food. That's definitely something that gets me happy. Yeah, we'll pull over to just random sites to see. I remember me and the God of Dad Bod, if anybody knows him, he's at the Monster Factory. We were traveling and we pulled over to the side of the road and walked into this like old abandoned haunted house thing, and we took a bunch of pictures with a hearse. So that was really cool. I remember I traveled with Westfield Kelly, Jason Morgan, and Brian Morris down to Kentucky. That was a heavy drive, but going to see and just watching America change is really interesting from state to state. I would go cross country. That's always been a dream of mine. Hopefully, I get enough time to do that. Just go straight through. But America is so vast and so different and so crazy how much it changes. Because I'm from Jersey, so yeah, I'm used to beaches and like open woods. I'm from South Jersey, and then you come to Philly. It's a gritty city, right?
Mm-hmm.
And go to Delaware, it's all just farmland, and then you go even further to Maryland. It's like it's beaches and farms, and then you just go even further, and the South is just beautiful, right? Just seeing it change is awesome. That's why I love wrestling in different states and just going across the world, right? My hope eventually is to go over to Japan or to go over to Germany or all these other places and see how different that is.
Now, is there anybody in Japan who you have your eyes on that you would love to tie up with right now?
Oh yeah, for sure. Don't know if it'll happen, but yeah, I would absolutely love to work for New Japan. I know Goldie is currently he has something going on with them with their American prospects right now, with American Dojo. But hopefully, I can tag along with him and head over to Japan and wrestle whoever. Man, I mean, Tanahashi's still around, still kicking. He's still killing it. I'd love to work with him. He's like the John Cena of Japan. Now he's really like him because he's just this legacy figure. So Tanahashi's way up there. God, a lot of them are starting to come over to the States. It seems like they're coming to me.
That's a very fair point to make. I know that Okada is now making more appearances in AEW, and hopefully before he goes back over to Japan, hopefully he decides to hit up some of the smaller places. I think he would mesh perfectly with the characters at the Monster Factory. And if that means Christian Rocco versus Okada, I'm for it, man. Like, I am all for it.
I would love. I wasn't even shooting that high, man. Okada's that's a pretty big name. Shibata is another one I absolutely adore. Just there's not a bad person in New Japan. They're all awesome. Yeah. I mean, the Bullet Club's not as huge as it was, but man, they've got some really talented guys. Jay White's not really even in Japan that much anymore. I feel like he's kind of just been doing this AEW thing going forward.
That is true. That's another face I'd love to see come to the Monster Factory or AXW or anywhere in this area, because this tri-state area, New Jersey, New York, and PA is such a hotbed for professional wrestling. Like I said, Allentown, at one point, Stabler Arena, I couldn't think of the name. Stabler Arena has held some of the most iconic moments and matches. The Hamburg Fieldhouse, where AXW runs. Right where the entrance gate is where Roddy Piper smashed a coconut over Jimmy Snuka's head. Hulk Hogan's wrestled in there. Andre the Giant's wrestled in there. The lights are still up that Vince Sr. installed. There's so much wrestling history in this area that a lot of people across the world don't know about. And I feel like they need to. There's so much, and there's still so much. There's so many independents around here. There's AXW, there's PPW. For those who don't know, it's Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling. There's Battlefield right up the road from my house, Battlefield Pro Wrestling. And that's in Broadheadsville. There's just so much, and they're all ran by people who have been in the business for a long time. Like Alpha Jr. runs Battlefield. Yeah. And that's a lineage and a half right there.
Yeah.
But it's such a hotbed here. I absolutely love it. As much as I hate the town I live in, it's such a wonderful, wonderful area.
Hey, man, look, I mean, you said it. Let's get Okada out here. Let's get Naito out here. Let's make it happen. Christian Rocco's ready. I don't know if they are, but Kevin Kelly definitely has a tie to New Japan. So, let's tag him in this. Make sure AXW knows that Naito, Shibata, Okada, Tanahashi, they're all ready.
Anybody watching this, tag Kevin Kelly. So we talked about you going to Japan. We talked about you traveling across the country. And now, see, part of me, as much as I want to see you travel the country, as much as I want to see you on TV, I like seeing you in person. I like seeing what you do in person. And I know that if you get signed, I'm not going to get that no more. So part of me is like, I want him to stay. But the other part of me is like, he's got to go. He's ready, man. He is 100% ready to go. So is there, for anybody out there who wants to get into wrestling, or anybody who wants to go and train at the Monster Factory or, wherever, do you have any words of encouragement or words of advice for them?
Yeah, of course. Wrestling is for everybody. People have been browbeaten into getting out of wrestling, but we've seen so many people succeed that you never would have thought of. This isn't an age where people like Spike Dudley, and as much as people don't like to talk about him right now, but James Ellsworth had wrestled for the WWE Championship. Anything is possible. We saw 20 years ago a one-legged wrestler get it all the way to Brock Lesnar and wrestle for the world title. If you guys are willing to put in the work, you'll get what you give. It's like that New Radicals song, right? You get what you give. As much as you put into it, you will get out of it. I truly, truly believe that. And I think if you're willing to work hard for it, the world is your oyster. It's a blank canvas and you're the painter. Have fun.
That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. Now, if you're going to get into it and you guys want to put your heart into it, don't do what I did. I took 2 bumps in the ring and I decided, you know what? I'll stick to podcasting. Alpha Jr. body slammed me once, and I was like, you know what? Good. I'm good on that. I don't need to be in here anymore. My job is behind the counter or behind the barricade. I'll just take videos and podcast. I'm good on it. So don't do what I did, guys. Make sure that if your heart's in it, no better place to start than the Monster Factory. Like I said, this is a hotbed area, and the Monster Factory is the right now it is the gateway. Like I said, but.
Sorry, I highly recommend the Monster Factory. I think it's the safest place you can go. I think they're the most encouraging people. They will push you beyond your brink. They put pressure on the rock and it becomes a dime or a piece of coal, whatever. I didn't do well in science. They will turn you into what you need to be, and they will get you ready for where you need to go. And Danny Cage is a wonderful guy. His phone number is posted all over the place. He takes calls from everybody and listens to everybody and cares about everybody. So if you're looking for a place that cares about you, that wants you to succeed, that will make you succeed, go to the Monster Factory.
Well, there you go. You heard it from a man literally almost born and bred in the Monster Factory. So make sure you guys get out there. Make sure you guys check that out. Now, before we get off here, you want to tell the people where they can find you, social media-wise or YouTube-wise, if you have a YouTube channel or wherever, any social media you want to put over.
Yeah, absolutely. I finally have it all uniform now. It's Wild Child Rocco, so you can find me on Instagram and Twitter there. Facebook, just look at my name. I'm Christian Rocco. Hell, if you need to find me on LinkedIn, go for it. I'm on there too. But yeah, look me up on YouTube, Christian Rocco, or Wild Child Christian Rocco. And go on the Pro Wrestling Tees site, man. I got to plug that. I got to make some money on the side. I got to fund this crazy hustle. We got a couple of new shirts up there. We got some new designs. So if you want to check that out, that's Christian Rocco on ProWrestlingTees.com as well.
You'd be surprised how many people I've had on this show that have Pro Wrestling Tees stores that never mention it. I'm like, yeah, tell them where you can find your social medias and everything. And nobody mentions the store at all.
The so important. Hey, I took I was a marketing major in college. You have to promote. Otherwise, nobody's going to come to it.
That's fair enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, we were about, 40 minutes in here. Christian, you've been a great guest so far, by the way. I truly appreciate you coming on. I've had Ed House on here. I've had the Beastmasters. And thankfully, unlike the Beastmasters, you didn't threaten to shave all this off because I can't afford to lose that. But I really do appreciate you coming on. You've been a great guest. I truly appreciate it.
I truly appreciate you, man. Thank you for giving me your time, and thank you to your audience for listening in. I really appreciate all you guys. I'm not a hard man to find, so if you guys want to find me, come out to the show. I'm more than willing to talk to you guys, take pictures, sign autographs. I love meeting people, so if you guys want to say hi, stop by. I'm not hard to find.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and don't forget, he is the first ever Wrestling All Day Podcast champion until Ronnie Moses cheated and took it. However, ladies and gentlemen, he is the three-time, not two-time, like I said, three-time and current Monster Factory Pro Wrestling Tag Team Champions. He is the Wild Child. He is Christian Rocco. And ladies and gentlemen, for the Wrestling All Day Podcast, I am Matty Smackdown. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I believe we are out of time. I am out of here. Thank you again, Christian.
Thank you so much, man. Take care, everybody.